बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम रब्बिश्रह ली सदरी वयस्सिर ली अमरी वहलुल उक़्दतम मिन लिसानी यफ़क़हू क़ौली रब्बि ज़िदनी इल्मा. Dear students, this is voice of Dr. Muhammad Iqbal, your course instructor, standard setting in assessment, class MPhil education, semester 2. Dear students, this is my 31st lecture about the future directions and other challenges of standard setting. Dear students, I will address I will address two challenges. I will discuss two challenges in this session. First of all, learning outcomes. After completion of this session, students will: number 1, challenge number 1, elaborate 7.3, elaborate the generalizability of standards. And then next challenge 7.4, elaborate how to use multiple methods of standard setting to address the uncertainty or other challenges of methods in standard setting. The first of all, generalizability of standards. Dear students, I will focus on the meaning of generalizability of standards first. The term generalizability. It is a very much famous and well-known term of research and assessment. That means present the findings of some data from some population to apply on the same level or same kind of application, same kind of population. So this term is going to use in the standard setting methods. So it means the results of some standards may be generalized on the same type of other standards. So dear students, several approaches to examining the generalizability of recommended performance standards have been suggested. Unfortunately, many applications of standard setting methods can't be studied for dependability because they involve only one measurement occasion. It means they are lacking in the consistency, and they are lacking in multiple calculations or measurements because they have been used or studies only one measurement occasion. However, in some standard setting applications, it is feasible and desirable to conduct the procedure for splitting a larger group of participants into two randomly equivalent panels for decision making. It means some standard setting applications are admissible or in some standard setting application, it is feasible and desirable to conduct the procedure by splitting or dividing a larger group of participants into two randomly equivalent panels for addressing the issues. For example, a group of 20 participants would receive common orientation, training and practice using a standard setting method. The group of 20 would then be divided into subgroups of 10 members each, which would produce ratings, engage in discussions and so on independently. It means this group of 20 participants will be divided into two groups after giving them orientation, training and practice of standard setting, etc. for decision making, and they will produce ratings by engaging in discussions independently and so on. Although the data from such a design would likely still be used in aggregate, although the data from such a design would likely still be used in aggregate, that is based on all 20 participants. A study design in which independent subgroups were formed would afford the opportunity to estimate a standard error of the resulting performance standards. One simple method for estimating this quantity has been documented by Barnen 2002. Barnen 2002 as in this equation: sigma x is equal to x minus x2 divided by 2. Here x1 and x2 are the cut scores recommended by each of two independent panels, and sigma is the estimate of the standard error of the performance standard. More sophisticated approaches to estimate the dependability of recommended cut scores can be implemented. One particularly powerful approach relies on a generalizability theory approach. However, these methods are most appropriate when there are more than two measurements that are ratings occasions. It means these methods will be most appropriate when there are more than two measurements. Ratings will be taken, or it means on two occasions a rare configuration in applied standard setting practice. Dear students, this was the challenge of generalizability of standards. Now, in 7.3, I discussed how to address the generalizability issues, and in this challenge I have discussed about the method of given by Bannon and other methodology is implementing the calculations of measurements more than one time in standard setting practice. The next challenge of future directions is using multiple methods of standard setting. A somewhat intuitively appealing idea proposed every now and then is that standard setting should include multiple methods. It means there is a important solution in this regard is using multiple methods of standard setting in calculations or performance standards. So training participants in multiple methods and requiring them to apply each method to the same data, including test, form, or group of examinees, will likely result in 2, 3, or more possible answers to the standard setting question. It means that entities responsible for making standards should train the participants in multiple methods, requiring them to apply each method to same data, including test, form, a group of examinees. So it will likely result in 2, 3 or more possible answers to the standard setting question. So it will open more horizons for the experts. Subject matter experts must be persuaded to contribute a large amount of time to the endeavor, which can extend to 4 or 5 days when the procedures includes several rounds of judgments of individual test items. So it means the subject matter experts should spend more time in this process 4 to 5 days. So given the fact that an entity is likely to have finite and limited resources to expand on the standard setting effort, beyond consideration of resources, however, is the fact that a standard setting procedure should be selected because it presents a strong match with the format of the assessment, the purpose of testing, the skills of participants, and other factors. So we are not aware of even a single documented instance in which a systematic, replicable process has been documented for synthesizing the results of multiple procedures. It means the expert says that we are unaware of about the systematic reliable procedure which has been documented for synthesizing the results of multiple procedures, or in which the multiple methods or procedures have been used. A very costly design was followed in which 3 methods, bookmark, contrasting groups, and Jaeger-Mill 2001 were all used to arrive at different possibilities for a system of cut score on the assessment. So in the last, or by and large, the experts came on consensus to use a costly approach or design in which 3 methods, bookmark, contrasting groups, and Jaeger-Mill, were all used to arrive at different possibilities for a system of cut scores on the assessment. The prospect of using multiple methods reminds us of an aphorism attributed to Lee Siegel and often referred to Siegel's law. We plead ignorance of any biographical detail related to Mr. Siegel, but not ignorance about how best to think about the result of implementing multiple standard setting methods. According to Siegel, a man with a watch knows what time it is. A man with 2 watches is never sure. So because there is no equivalent of an atomic clock in the field of standard setting, our recommendation is simply for practitioners to invest in single watch of the greatest quality given available resources. Dear students, this was the my session about using multiple methods of standard setting. In this, the experts recommended to use many methods at a time for gaining results in 2, 3 or more possible answers to standard setting questions. Or subject matter experts must be persuaded to contribute a large amount of time in standard setting procedures. And because there was no evidence of more than one method of standard setting has been documented or reported for this purpose. So there was a dire need to use multiple methods, or for this purpose a costly design of bookmark, contrasting groups and Jaeger mills to arrive at different possibilities for a system of cut scores on the assessment. And in the last, the authors given an example of Siegel. According to Siegel, a man with a watch knows what a time it is. A man with 2 watches is never sure. So it means because there is no equivalent of an atomic clock in the field of standard setting, our recommendation is simply for practitioners to invest in a single watch of greatest quality given available resources. It means the expert says that they should use a single method with maybe multiple ratings or multiple calculations. So dear student, this was the end of my presentation. Thank you very much. I will be with you in some other session. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.